Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic with Mike. This is part of the MikeKingBiz Media Network, ESPN Richmond 106.1, International Business Group Radio, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern, as well as the Hounds of Business Community. Mike King here, but this is the Empower Hour, but it's not just that. So people who know me, they got a friend of the program. I go way back. The man is in the building with us, Chris Mayfield, the Hope Dealer. We go way back. And now Tiffany Greene and Chris Mayfield together. Ladies and gentlemen, these two deserve each other. If there are ever two people who are out there trying to save the world, it is these two. So this is the Empower Hour, and Tiffany Greene.
Evolve together with Empower People. Introducing Empower People, a nonprofit that is here to educate and connect leaders to empower the people, organizations, and communities they serve. In a world where everyone is connected, communities thrive, and individuals have the knowledge and skills to create positive change and live out their purpose. That's what Empower People is all about. We offer a wide range of courses, learning and growth development programs, and our signature Empower Hour event. Our services are centered on education and connection to support purpose-driven leaders. Ready to take the next step? Visit our website at www.empowerpeople.org. That's MPWRPeople.org. And join the Empower People community as an individual, nonprofit, or for-profit organization. You can also find us on our On the Mic with Mike program, Evolve Together with Empower People. Hi, Tiffany Joy Greene, MBA founder, executive director, and ex officio of Empower People, and guests will share insight on driving purpose-driven businesses, nonprofit, and for-profit. You can also find us on LinkedIn and Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Join Empower People today and unlock your true purpose. Evolve together.
On the mic, Mike King. Tiffany Greene is there. Tiffany, welcome back, ma'am.
Well, thank you, Mike. You didn't say my name, my nickname.
The Princess of Purpose.
That's
oh
right.
no. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, I try and have a program here that is above the shenanigans, but no. Tiffany Greene pulls out a tiara.
If you're gonna call me the Princess of Purpose, I mean, I should have the tiara, right?
She is the Princess of Purpose. She is out there to Kumbaya. We got the new music. It'll be up next week with you singing Kumbaya.
Yes, you do.
Yes, we will have it. Tiffany Greene, you're not here rolling solo today?
No, I am not.
No, you're not. You went and rolled up and found my partner, Chris Mayfield, is out there. Tiffany Greene, tell folks who you are and why Chris is joining us today.
So I'm Tiffany Joy Greene, and I am the founder of Empower People. And as that lovely intro said, Empower People is an organization that provides education, connection, and support to mission and purpose-driven leaders to drive positive impact and empower people. Chris is here today because he was introduced. We were introduced to each other by a mutual friend and colleague. And I don't know, Chris, we didn't get a lot of heads up as to why we were being connected, although it was an absolute must that we should be. And then the second we started talking, we're like, well, this didn't take long to figure out because we're both very purpose-driven individuals. We speak the same language.
You do speak the same language, and take into account the person. We ain't calling any names, but take into account the person that said, you need to meet Chris. That just says everything.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. We both started singing Kumbaya at the same time. No, we didn't.
Yes, and it sounded like a chorus. Chris Mayfield, welcome back to the program, sir.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be back, man. This is Empower People, man. I just can't tell you. You and I have been battling out there for a number of years, Mike, and it was so refreshing to find somebody else out there fighting the same fight. So I am super jazzed about this partnership, and I think we're going to, as I always say, we're going to change the world, and it's going to be better than it was when we found it.
Chris Mayfield's out there always doing amazing things. He is a TEDx speaker, an author. You are a change agent. So when you look at what Tiffany Greene is doing, talk about how important that is and how it aligns this is a mission alignment. That's one of Tiffany Greene's things that she talks about. Talk about that with what you guys are doing.
Well, I can't speak for Tiffany, so I'll talk from my perspective. And if you know me, the one thing I love to do is talk about my perspective. So, what I love about this program and why I'm dedicating myself to this program is it's about fundamentally changing the way people work, and then how, when they leave work, how do they then connect with their community, right? Because work isn't a silo, work is a part of life, and the better we can make work, the better we can make communities, and the better we can make communities makes it easier for all of us to thrive, right? No matter who you are and what your needs are and where you're at in your life, when we can improve the place where we work, where we spend so much time and so much energy, it makes our entire lives better. And then we can focus on the things, our true purpose and our true passions, and that just makes our lives richer and fuller. So that's why I love this program, Mike.
There you go. That is Chris Mayfield. Tiffany, let's talk about it from your perspective. When you're out there, we've been talking about this, talking to different people, and then you run across Chris Mayfield and you see what he's doing. Talk about what that looks like to a person who's purpose-driven.
Well, when you're out there and you're out there in the world, especially in the business world, it's the first thing that everybody's talking about. How's inflation treating your business? Yeah, and like all about the money. And it's like, well, money only comes, and then, you talk to Chris, and Chris and I are talking the same language, which is first purpose, then comes money, right? And a lot of people think, well, you can't have money if you don't have purpose. It's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? We could go into this forever, but at the end of the day, I don't know how many entrepreneurs I've met that set a revenue goal, they hit it, and they still feel unfulfilled. Why is that? Because they're not living out their purpose, and their business isn't living out a purpose. We all do better. Oh, sorry, Chris.
And that's because they're running a 100-yard dash and not a marathon, right? Because revenue is great, and we got to have revenue. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about some revenue. But if your purpose is to achieve revenue, what happens when you do it? What do you do then, right? You go after more revenue? No, there's more to it. There's more to it. This is long-term. We're in it for the long haul. So why are we setting very narrow goals that we know we should hit, right? Instead of serving a larger purpose in our lives. And it just devalues you as a person to not understand what your purpose is and what benefit you're adding to society. And that's the last time I'm going to interrupt you, Tiffany. I'm sorry. I just get so excited about this topic. I'm going to shut up.
Well, one of the things too that I think we don't say enough, and I know I've said it probably at least once or twice on this show before, which is purpose is instrumental to life. I mean, if you walk into any assisted living center, any nursing home, what creates depression and the deconstruction of health is the lack of purpose. We all need it to survive. It's the fundamental basic. And I don't know if you know the statistic, but 70% of all entrepreneurs had adverse childhoods, right? So 70% of entrepreneurs suffered through or survived trauma. And why are they entrepreneurs? Is it for the money? It's to change the world. So when we focus on purpose and we empower people, so when we're empowering people, when we're empowering the leaders of today and tomorrow, we're empowering generations ahead of us. And we're empowering people, if we look at that 70% of folks, entrepreneurs who had faced adverse childhoods, we're supporting people that have typically not been supported in the past. So if they get the support, the education and connection they need, imagine how much faster we can make a positive impact and empower people. Well, that's my purpose, and that's, I believe, Chris's purpose too. We may say it a little different ways, we may have our own words, but the root is the same.
There you go, Tiffany Greene, Chris Mayfield. Tiffany Greene, how can people keep up with you after hashtag? Oh.
Some people call me Manic Maple and they say it's really hard to keep up with me, but there's always so many ways you could do it. You can go to MPWRPeople.org, which is our website, MPWRPeople.org. You can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And don't forget, as you said, hashtag empower people.
Chris Mayfield, how can people find you out there?
Man, I tell you what, the absolute best way is to just go to Tiffany's website. We are going to be joined at the hip. We're going to be partners, and we're not going to stop until everybody has access to good quality leadership and is living their best life driven by their own purpose.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so people may not know Chris Mayfield is a Marine. And so a person may have been in the Army for 20 years. He was in the Army. A person may have been a Marine for 4 years. At the ripe old age of 90 years old, I was in the Army, and the Marine says, I'm a Marine. Talk about what that does, their purpose. It must be something more purposeful as being a Marine than being in the other services, because that is the mantra of how you guys do things. Chris Mayfield froze. Ladies and gentlemen, he froze there. So on the mic, Mike King here. Tiffany Greene is with us. Tiffany, let's talk about purpose. And you talk. Oh, there's Chris Mayfield.
He's back. He's back.
He is back.
Get
Chris
his hands.
Mayfield.
Yeah. So, the Marine Corps is a little bit different, and I apologize there for the delay. The Marine Corps is a little bit different than the other services. Not better, right? Not worse, just different.
A lot.
Well, okay. So, Mike's trying to throw the jab. I'm trying to, bob and weave over here, bob and weave. We're a little bit different because we have a unified purpose, right? There's a Marine Corps saying it's called every Marine is a rifleman, right? So whether you're a 4-star general or you're a private or a recruit in Paris Island or in San Diego, every Marine is a rifleman, right? That's a single unified purpose, and that is the fundamental building block of the Marine Corps. So with that unified purpose, then you can go and you can say, okay, I'm a rifleman and I'm also a logistics guy. I'm also a cook. I'm also a this, or I'm also a that. But still, at the very core, you're a rifleman, right? Everybody's going to pick up that weapon and go to war when we need to. But we also have these other things that we're going to do. So that unified purpose, 100,000, 177,000, wherever we're at now, 177,000 people pulling in the same direction for the same purpose is an undefeatable force. You cannot win that fight. So that is kind of what makes the Marine Corps unique, is that unified purpose.
On the mic, Mike King was on the move. Chris Mayfield, Tiffany Greene talking about purpose. At that point, it is in the military, but it goes, of course, in all organizations. So, Chris, Tiffany talks a lot of times about purpose alignment. Yours was leadership. Talk about like tying your leadership over to Tiffany's organization. What was it about that became, I guess, something that you would want to do?
So, if we go back to the Marine Corps example of having that one purpose, what it does for leaders is having that crystal clear vision of your purpose and where your organization is heading. What that allows is all leaders at every level of the organization and employees to make good decisions, right? Because they know what the purpose is, they know what the vision of the future is, and because of that, they can then make informed, purposeful decisions. And it's those decisions at every level that ultimately dictate whether you're going to be successful or not. So let me give you an example of how purpose can drive your outcomes when everybody is on the same page and everybody has the same purpose. I recently started taking guitar lessons. It's on my bucket list, right? So I want to learn how to play guitar. I'm about as talented as the area rug in my living room, but I decided that I was going to do this, right? And so I got a guitar, and a good friend of mine is a guitar instructor, and he said, "Yeah, let's do it." And And then, so I got excited, handed over my guitar to him. He was going to refurbish it for me. And he said, well, what kind of music do you want to play? Right. And I said, well, I want to play bluegrass, some old jazz, and some country music on it. And the reason he asked me that was because it makes a difference in how he sets up the guitar and how what size strings and what size pickups are on the guitar. So my purpose helped him decide how to set up my guitar. Right. So if we take that simple example and spread it out across an organization, actions and decisions are based on that purpose. So the purpose of my guitar is to play a certain style of music. So then he was able to take my purpose and complete a task that served my purpose.
I gotta say, I gotta love your guitar teacher, because not everybody who probably knows this. So I teach violin. And so when I get a student, the first thing I ask them is, what do you love to listen to? And they'll ramble off of a lot of stuff. So I said, what made you want to pick up the violin? What was the music that made you want to pick it up? Because once I know what their purpose is, this is where purpose alignment is, then I know how to teach them and I know how to inspire them. So not only will I assign them all their scales and all the tasks and the music, blah, 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 I say in your homework, you need to listen to this song before our next session to keep that motivation and that inspiration going, because that's rooted in purpose. And I am transparent because I do not fiddle. I do not play country music. That's what they say to me. I'm like, we're going to have to find you a new teacher.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tiffany Greene, Chris Mayfield here with us. So Tiffany, you run into a lot of people. What was it something when you heard about Chris Mayfield? What do you think it was when you, that the person who connected you said, hey, you got to meet this guy?
I think it's two things, because we are very strong and rooted in purpose, which is obviously very apparent in this conversation. But two, it's the very value that when we talk about education, Chris and I, we're not just talking about sit in a classroom and learn something and let's hope that something comes out of it. We know that to get educated and to create new behaviors takes a lot of effort. You don't just sit in a course, you get the information, now your life's transformed and all these amazing things happen. You have to get out of your own way. You have to find out what your inner challenges are to actually make that education come to fruition. And then you got to actually make new habits to practice that information out in the world. So we take this three-prong approach to education. Again, he and I may have been using different lingo before we met, but we're like, we know each other's lingo. Like, we don't have to like translate for each other. We're like, yeah. So we both have those fundamental core values. And so I think that's why, it was like a no-brainer for Subhash, by the way, who it was, to say, hey, you guys need to meet. Like it did, and usually this when you get an introduction in the business world, you usually get a couple paragraphs saying why. This was like, you guys need to meet. And it's pretty obvious why.
So in other words, well, when Subhash connects you, he carries a certain energy himself. Yes, so that is it. So what we get right here is we get Tiffany Greene, the princess of purpose, and my man Chris Mayfield, the king of kumbaya. You guys deserve each other. You really do. And you didn't know it until you met each other. Chris Mayfield, you were the guy who was on the rooftop screaming that everyone needed internet access because that was just the right thing to do. Remember those conversations, sir, years ago?
Yep. Yeah. And it's true today. I mean, it's still true. I mean, it is, I'm not sure which invention is more important, maybe the wheel, but to be competitive in business and to be competitive in life and in education, you got to have it. I mean, there's just no way to fully grow into your purpose, no matter what it is, without the internet. And I think one of the things that we want to change, and I can't speak for Tiffany directly, but I can't imagine she's going to disagree with me, is people are using the internet, right, for non-purpose things, but we also need to use the internet for purposeful things. So for example, like if you are, let's say Mike is a radio host, right? And he's doing all these things. He should also be using the internet to connect with other radio hosts and other market to find out what's working for them, what's not working for them. How can he grow his business? How can he find more success in his life using the internet, right? It's such a powerful tool. And we just a little bit of education and training, we can turn it into the most powerful, purpose-driven, revenue generating tool that you've ever seen. But people are afraid to use it in a way that supports their purpose. And one of the things that I like to talk about is how do you build that network? How do you have your internal and your external knowledge networks, and the internet and connection that way is simply the best way to do it. And it also happens to be the fastest way to do it, Mike. I mean, you know, I can meet 500 people in an hour in an event, or I can meet 2 people. So, you know, the amount of knowledge that can be shared in venues just like this is just unimaginable. And we have yet to even begin to understand how that's going to impact our purpose, our revenue, our employees, and our community.
And
Ladies
the
and gentlemen,
internet, I'd like to add to that, Mike, first. Can I add to that?
Yes.
The internet levels the playing field, right? So, you know, it's easy for somebody sitting in the Richmond City who has great access to internet, right? And now their business may not have to depend on the 804 area code. Now their business can go wherever they want it to go, potentially, right? But if you're in some areas of, I believe maybe New Kent, now the internet, you know, but so it doesn't create an even playing field, right? Because if they don't have good internet, how are they supposed to reach out? How are they supposed to expand? How are they supposed to have a successful business? And we all know, right? Gone are the days, local is important. We all, you know, local is good for sustainability too, but we're also in a very global society. So if you are set on this island and you have no global network or interconnection, how are you supposed to survive and thrive in your business and your purpose? It's pretty much nearly impossible.
There you go, Tiffany Greene, Chris Mayfield. Really quickly, Chris, as we go ahead and get you out of here, you have been rock with that sign behind you. Explain to folks what that sign says.
So it's doing something good wherever good can be done. And that is really just about picking your head up from what you're doing, looking around yourself and saying, what can I do that's good for me and my community today? What can I work on? What can I do? What can I get involved in a way that serves my purpose, right? Of being a good citizen in my community, of adding value, right? Because all businesses are supposed to add value to their community, right? So it's about doing good in any way that you can. It doesn't have to be huge, right? I don't have to donate hundreds of millions of dollars or more money than I can afford to an organization. Maybe it's just advocating for a person on the street or a student in a classroom buying school supplies. I can't afford much, but I can give that teacher or that organization $50 to buy school supplies, or I can volunteer some time. It's picking up your head, looking around, see what good you can do today, and just do it.
I love that. And I'd like to say sometimes it's as easy as just looking at somebody literally in the eye and saying, how are you? It can be as easy as that. And I want to, you kind of teed me up. I know you didn't do that intentionally, Chris, but you teed me up. So last week, Empower People had an announcement. So all the Empower People members got an announcement to say, hey, we see you. We know how important mental health is on your journey of purpose. And for that, we have partnered with Inner Touch Counseling, and now we are offering all Empower People members are getting discounted mental health services so you can get the help that you need. So that's another way of doing good. Partnering with other people to reach as many people as you can to empower them.
There you go, Tiffany Greene, Chris Mayfield. One last time, Tiffany, how can people reach you?
By pigeon, no, don't do that. That was a joke. So they can reach.
Not even from New Kent.
Where do you find these carrier pigeons? You're gonna have to let me know after
Smoke
the.
signals.
So you can find me on the website empowerpeople.org. That's MPWRPeople.org. You can find me on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And don't forget #EmpowerPeople.
Now, Mike King here. It has been a time with the Princess of Purpose and the King of Kumbaya, Chris Mayfield, Tiffany Greene. We got to go, folks. Thanks now. Take care. Bye.